All right, so by the end of this video, you are going to understand exactly how to do Amazon FBA product research, and finding a product that you can sell and actually make profit from is going to be 1,000 times clearer and 100 times faster. So it doesn't matter, right, if you're a complete beginner of Amazon FBA or you've got some experience. I guarantee this video is going to help you stop second guessing and finally understand what you need to be doing in order to find a product. So I'm going to cover absolutely everything that you need to know, right? From the different tools that you can use, the theory and the key fundamentals behind product research that you need to understand, the most common mistakes that you need to avoid as a beginner that I see all of the time, and the different ways that you can actually start doing product research. And then, right, I'm actually going to do some live product research. You are going to sit on my shoulder and watch me as I do some proper live product research so you can see how I think about it, and I'm going to explain my thought process out loud. I think this part of the video is probably going to be the most useful for you, so make sure you stick around for that. I'm also going to show you, right, a tool for finding products that I haven't really seen many people on YouTube talking about. It's something that's given us an insane amount of ideas for new products and new brands, and I think that everybody should know about it and should be using it in 2024. And you might be thinking, well, who the hell is this dude and why is he qualified to teach me about Amazon FBA product research? Well, I'm a 7-figure Amazon seller. We've got an Amazon training community where we teach people how to do Amazon FBA. And we also run 2 Amazon brands ourselves that do over $3 million a year in revenue. And we're still actively launching products and growing our own brands. So we literally just launched a new product 4 days ago that's doing really well. And right here is a screenshot from our sales from today, which you can see that we did about $9,500 in revenue and about $1,800 in profit. So if you actually want to learn from people that have got skin in the game, that actually sell products on Amazon and make profit right now in 2024, then we're the dudes for you. This is the channel that you should be watching. So what I'm also going to do, right, is I'm going to put chapters at the bottom of the video. The reason for this is sometimes I might be talking about something that you've seen before, and you might think, well, I want to skip ahead. So they're really useful if you want to skip to the parts that are most interesting and the juiciest parts of the video for you personally. All right, so let's start at the very beginning, right? The tools that you need to do proper Amazon FBA product research. So, right, you've essentially got 2 options. Most people have probably heard of these. You've got Helium 10 and then you've got Jungle Scout. So both of these products, honestly, they do pretty much the same thing. What they allow you to do, that's the most important thing, right, is they allow you to see the monthly sales and the revenue of any product on Amazon. So what you can do is you can come to a product like these pizza blankets, you can hit this button here, which is the Helium 10 Chrome extension, and what it's gonna do, it's gonna load up the monthly revenue. So you can see how many sales that this particular seller is making for this product. And Jungle Scout does pretty much the same thing. So either one of these, right, is essential for doing your research properly. Basically, you need one of these so that you can just browse around Amazon and you can see the monthly sales and the demand for any product and any niche. So our personal favorite is Helium 10. We've honestly used it every single day for years now, and it does a lot more than just product research. So we use it for tracking keywords, building listings, building QR code landing pages to generate email lists. We use it for a lot of stuff. So because we use it a lot, you know, we also promote it. So we've got a 20% discount code that you can find in the video description. But honestly, just get one of them. It doesn't really matter, just get one, because you really need one of these tools to be able to find a product, and they're absolutely essential. All right, so now I'm assuming, right, that you've got either Helium 10 or you've got Jungle Scout. Let's have a look at the fundamentals or the theory behind product research. But what I'm not going to be doing in this video is I'm not going to be giving you a strict set of guidelines. I'm not going to be saying that the product needs to be a certain price, or there needs to be a certain number of reviews, or it needs to be small and light. Because if you do hear Amazon gurus saying stuff like that, right, that it needs to be within a certain price range, or needs to be less than 300 reviews, or it absolutely has to be small and it has to be light, you know they're pretty clueless about Amazon FBA. Because you can sell products, right, that are $20 or $80 or $200. There's no set rules for the type of products that you need to sell. There's not really a best category. You can sell electrical products. You can sell consumable products. You can sell pet products, or you can sell products that you use in the garden. In all honesty, right, you can sell, truthfully, almost anything, as long as you understand the key concepts that make a product a success or a flop. And guess what? You're in luck, because I'm about to teach you those key concepts. Now, the first one is that you are not finding a product to sell. you're creating one. So look, you could show me and 5 other beginner Amazon sellers the same Amazon product in the same niche. Let's take these pizza blankets, for example. You could show us all the same niche like this, and I might be able to come up with a way of launching one of these pizza blankets and making a successful brand out of it. But the beginner sellers, you might look at this and you might see this product and think, wow, that looks really saturated. I'm going to just keep trying to find other products. So this is the first thing that you need to understand, right? The execution of how you bring a product to market on Amazon is just as important as the actual product itself. And let me show you an example of what I mean, right? So unless you've been living under a rock, you've probably seen this water brand called Liquid Death. Now, Liquid Death disrupted one of the most saturated niches on the planet, bottled water. So they didn't find this product and the brand, they created it. They looked at the existing water bottle market, right? Which was pretty boring and full of brands that have been around for years. Boring brands that are bland, no personality, and they came in with something loud, something a little bit offensive, sexy, and a bit crazy. And this allowed them, right, to stand out and just absolutely crush it. They've grown to $1 billion valuation in just a few years. Now, obviously, right, as a beginner to Amazon FBA, what you need to do is a little bit different than what a $1 billion brand is doing. But this fundamental can be applied to any stage. You need to be creative with how you design your products, how you do your branding, your brand name, how your brand looks and how it feels. Once you stop thinking, right, that you need to find a product, but you need to create a product and create a brand, you're gonna find 100 times more opportunities. I absolutely guarantee it. This was the biggest thing that changed in our mindset that completely unlocked everything that we've been doing. Now, I'm going to show you exactly how I do this later on in the live research part of the video, so make sure you stick around for it. And the more you practice thinking of creative ways to make new products and new brands, the easier everything becomes. Another great example is wet wipes. So if you search on Amazon, you would probably think, wow, this is super saturated, right? How the hell would I launch some wet wipes and be able to compete? But then you've got brands like Dude Wipes, which are literally just wet wipes with really cool branding. And they're aimed specifically at men. It's just a great name, great packaging, and great branding with basically the same product as everybody else. Now, this is the same playbook as Liquid Death. So that's the first fundamental, right, that you need to understand when you're doing your product research. You just need to hammer this home, print it out, write it on your wall. You're not finding products, you're creating them. Now, the next fundamental that you need to understand is demand. Now, this is the basis of absolutely everything, right? If there's no existing demand for the product that you're looking at, there's nobody there to buy it. You want to make sure that there's enough people searching every day directly for your product. So if you were looking at these pizza blankets, you want to see the keyword search volumes, which is how many people search for pizza blankets every single month. Now, you can do that easily with Helium 10, either using their Chrome extension, where you can see the search volumes in the actual search box, or you can use their Cerebral tool, which is basically where you put in the ASIN, and then it's going to show you the keywords that that product ranks for organically. Now, what a lot of beginners do is they come up with fancy ideas for random new products. They think that they've got to have some fancy invention to make money. But the reality is that if nobody is searching for your product or your invention on Amazon, then there's nobody there to buy it. You're trying to find opportunities where there's existing demand and you can come in with something new that stands out. So this is really the first box that you've got to tick when you're looking at a product. Does it have existing demand? So the next box that you need to tick and the next fundamental that you need to understand and that a lot of people get wrong is that the demand, it needs to fit your budget. So this is where so many beginners go wrong when they're doing the product research. They don't understand that in order to properly launch a product on Amazon, you need to have the right budget. So basically, the bigger the niche or the more demand there is for a product, the more money you're going to need to buy the stock. So most Amazon FBA gurus, they never really talk about this, right? Because they want to mislead you into thinking that you can do tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales with any budget. And it's just not true. The bigger the demand, the more money that you need. But this step is super important. You need to check that your budget is big enough to launch whatever product it is that you're looking at. All right, so let's take a look at our pizza blankets, right? So you can see that the top sellers are doing, between the top one is doing about 100,000 And at the bottom, you got this one here doing about 30. So you've got people ranging from about 4,000 all the way up to about $100,000 a month, right? And whenever you're looking at a niche, you're basically comparing yourself to the top 7 or 8 sellers, because that's really where you want to be. You ideally want to be in the top 4 sellers for the main keywords in whatever niche it is that you're looking at. So if the top sellers are averaging, let's say, 500 sales per month, and that product is going to cost you $10 per unit to buy, that's $5,000 worth of stock for 1 month sales if you match the sales of the top sellers. So in order to properly launch any product, you really need to be able to afford 2 to 3 months worth of sales. So if you think that you're going to sell 500 units per month, then you need to be able to order 1,500 units or up to 1,500 units. So if that's $5 per unit, that's $7,500 or $7,500 for 3 months worth of stock. Now, that doesn't mean that you need $7,500 for your first order. But in total, you need to be able to afford around that amount to cover your first 1,500 units. So you've got to remember that the first couple of months of your product launch, right, it's pretty unlikely that you're going to make any money or any profit. And honestly, that's really not the goal. You're not really trying to make money for the first couple of months. That might sound a bit weird, but the goal of the first sort of 6 to 8 to 12 weeks of a product being on Amazon is that you rank organically. So that means that you appear at the top of the search results page without paying for advertising. So you want to appear at the top here. You want to appear after these sponsored ads. You want to appear here organically. So let me make this super simple for you, right? If you've got a $10,000 budget, ideally, you don't really want to see people in your niche doing more than about $30,000 in sales. Now, this is not an exact science. There's no real way to absolutely work this out down to the T. But if you've got $10,000 and you see the top sellers in a niche doing $80,000 or $100,000, $120,000, then you're not going to have anywhere near enough money to compete with their level of sales. Because in order to rank organically for all of your products' keywords, you need to be able to match or beat the sales of the existing sellers. So if they all sell 1,000 units per month and you only sell 100, you're never going to be able to outrank them organically, and you're going to struggle to make money. All right, so after your demand and your budget, the next key fundamental that you need to understand to do proper product research is your economics. Now, in a nutshell, right, your product needs to have a strong profit margin or you're going to struggle to make money. Now, in my opinion, the absolute minimum net margin you should be aiming for with a product is around 15%. So ideally, you want to be aiming to be north of 20%. So we recently launched a product about 6 weeks ago, and in the last 30 days, the margin is around 50%. So we've made $8,000 in profit. But honestly, that's not typical. And the average is anywhere between 15 to 25%. And a very, very important part of the economics here is the actual price that you plan on selling at. So one of the most common mistakes that I see beginners make is that they think they can sell a product that's 60, 70, 80% more expensive than the top sellers in their niche. So remember, you need to be as price competitive as you can be. You need to check the price of the top sellers in your niche, and you need to make sure that you're not way above their price. Or trust me, you're going to struggle. So don't base your margins and your economics on some crazy high, unrealistic number. Be realistic with your estimations and the price that you'll actually be able to sell your product for. And when I say net margin, by the way, what I mean is your margin after all of your Amazon fees and your advertising costs and returns. All right, so let's take a quick look using the pizza blanket example, right? I'm going to show you how you can kind of quickly work out if you're going to be in the right ballpark for making a decent profit. So what you can do is you can just go to the listing, and then you can come down here and you can click on this button here. With the Helium 10 extension installed, this is going to load up the profitability calculator. So what it's going to do, right, it's going to pull in all of the data for this product. And you can see here that it says ROI per unit of 64%. Now, you don't know whether this is right because Amazon and Helium 10, they don't know the unit manufacturing cost, and they don't know your actual freight cost and everything like that. But what you can do is you can go to Alibaba and you can find out roughly what you're going to be paying for a product like this, right? And then you can just put that number into the profitability calculator, and you're going to have a ballpark figure, and then you're going to be able to see, am I in the right range where this product might make sense? So I came to here before, and I reckon I can probably get these pizza blankets for around $4, right? $4 to $5 it's probably going to cost for me to land this product from China into Amazon's warehouse. So remember, this is just a rough estimate, right? You're going to have to do this properly afterwards. But if you do a rough estimate and you see that your profit margin is going to be 5%, then you know it's not going to make sense. So I know most of the sellers in this niche, they're around $20, up to maybe $22 to $25, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this at $22.99 because I don't want to be too expensive and I don't want to price myself out. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the freight cost. So I'm going to just put that to 0 because what we're going to do is we're just going to estimate the total landed cost, right? So that's the cost to get it manufactured and get it shipped all the way from China or wherever you're sourcing it into Amazon's warehouse. So I reckon that I can probably do that for about $5, right? So if I can land this product for $5, then sell it for $22.99, I can see that my ROI per unit and my margin is about 35% and about 156. Now, a key point here is that this is your margin before you've factored in your PPC, which is your advertising, and then also things like returns. So realistically, your net margin is probably going to be about half of this, right? So it's going to be around half of 35, so you're looking at about 17%, which isn't too bad, right? That's above that 15% mark that we really need to be if we want to have a proper profitable product. So this is a really quick way that you can estimate, right? So if I was looking at this pizza blanket, this would kind of tick that box. I would then have a target in my mind where I know if I can land them for about $5 and then maybe I can sell it for $22.99, maybe even up to, $24.99, because I do think there's some room for having something that's a bit better quality and it stands out a bit more. And then you can see the actual margin is quite healthy. So what this does by using this profitability calculator is it just helps you understand, is this product anywhere in the right, ballpark where I should take it further and start speaking to suppliers. All right, now the next fundamental that you need to understand, right, when it comes to product research is your differentiation. So this is pretty simple, right? You need to be able to find some way to stand out versus your competition because you're competing, right, against hundreds of other products, hundreds of other sellers, and a lot of them, they're going to be cheaper than you. So there's two ways in which you can stand out, visually and functionally. So every time, right, that you're looking at a niche or a product, ask yourself this question: how can I make this product look different so that it stands out? And how can I improve this product so that it's better functionally? So if you tick both of those boxes where you can really stand out visually and the product itself is better in some way, then you're on the right track to having a successful product. So to go back to our pizza blanket example, right? If I was looking at this niche, I would be thinking, right, all of these products, they look exactly the same. So if I was to launch a pizza blanket, then how can I, stand out? How can I catch the eye of the customer? So my first idea when I looked at this was I was thinking, why do people not add different ingredients? Do you know what I mean? Like there's more ingredients to a pizza than just pepperoni. Now, if you think about it, you could do a pepperoni and pineapple, which is, one of those pizza toppings that causes a lot of discussion around whether it's gross or whether it's nice. That was the first thing that I thought, right? I was looking at this and I was like, why does everybody just do pepperoni pizza? So if I was looking at launching this, I reckon I could probably do a pretty good job of standing out because I would come in, I'd do loads of crazy toppings. I'd do, sardines, pepperoni, chocolate, just random stuff. And that's the way that I would try and stand out visually in this niche. There's also another thing that I saw here, which I thought was quite interesting, is they have this box. So a great way of standing out in your hero image especially is by having your product packaging in there. So you could get this delivered in a really sort of cool looking box. And that's a way that you can stand out with this, first hero image. So I've got some ideas definitely of how I could stand out in this niche. I would just do loads of crazy flavors and I would show them in the beginning. So, you can see that people put like different colors and stuff here. But what I would want to show different sort of previews of all of the different toppings that you can order. So you just offer people more than just pepperoni. The other way that I would stand out is if you actually read through some of the reviews of these, some of them are good, but I've actually ordered one of these and they're basically a bit crap. They're not very thick. They're a little bit lightweight. They're not really super high quality. So because I know how I can stand out visually by doing, different flavors and stuff, the next thing I would want to do is improve the functionality of the product. So I would probably use a different material. I would make it a little bit thicker. Maybe I would add, some magnets or something so that when you pull it, it sort of go short. I don't know. There's a lot of random ideas that just sort of pop up. But what I would do is I'd go through the reviews and I would see what people are complaining about. And then I would try and fix those issues by improving the material quality or the thickness or the type of material that it is. So when I look at this niche, I actually see a way that I could probably launch a brand around this, because I could definitely stand out aesthetically. I could definitely look different. And I could also stand out in terms of the functionality of the product. Now, this is the way that you need to approach every single niche. Every time you look at a niche or a set of products like this, think, how can I stand out visually? And then how can I actually improve the functionality of the product? And if you can do those things and you can do them within the right price range, you've got a winning product. So let's have a quick recap, right? If you do research and you find products that have got good demand, like the pizza blankets, they fit your budget, so the demand isn't too big for your specific budget. They've got great economics, meaning you can make at least 50 to 20% profit margin after your PPC and after your returns and stuff. And the price that you can get them for is in line with, the price of the market. So you're not going to be too expensive. And if you've got ideas for how you can stand out visually and functionally, like I just went over, then honestly, you've ticked all of the boxes that you need to tick in order to be confident that if you launch that product with a great listing, great branding, then the chances of success are going to be really, really high. So now that you understand, right, these fundamentals, let's do some live product research. Let's go for it. All right, so this is the fun bit where you can actually watch me do some live product research and put all of that theory into practice, right? So I'm going to be using Helium 10, like I said, because it's the tool that we prefer. And I'm going to go through and I'm going to just show you initially what I do with the filters, and then we're just going to dive into it, right? So one of the key points here is, again, there's no magic way to use Helium 10. All you're really doing is finding products that have got good demand, the demand fits your budget, and then you've got to be creative with understanding how you can stand out. And then you've got to work out the economics. Does it make sense economically? And if it ticks all of those boxes, then you make a top-class listing and you do a great launch. And honestly, your chances of success are going to be super, super high. So again, it doesn't really matter what category you sell in. There are some caveats to that. Do you know what I mean? Like if you want to sell an electrical product, then it's going to take a bit more time because you're going to have to get approval. You're going to have to make sure all the documents are correct and everything, so you have permission to sell that product. But it doesn't mean that it's impossible. A lot of Amazon gurus, they tell sellers, new sellers, don't sell stuff that goes in your body, or don't sell an electrical product because it's difficult to do so. And honestly, it's kind of bullshit because it's not that difficult to do it. It just takes a little bit more time. But what that means is that most people won't, jump through the hoops of getting something approved in the electrics category. So a lot of those niches can actually be like lower competition because of that, because people won't go, to the trouble. So what I like to do is I just select a random, a bunch of categories, home and kitchen, office products, patio, lawn and garden, pet supplies is a good one. We've got a pet brand, sports and outdoors, toys and games. You can just select a bunch of these. You're going to have to spend time doing this. So you're going to look at different categories. Maybe one day you just want to look at the baby category, then another day the office products category, right? Doesn't really matter that much. The price, right? I want to go from $20 and I'm not going to put a cap on it. We've got a product, like I said, that we just launched, $22.99, and it's super profitable. And the reason that it's profitable is because we actually land that product in Amazon for about, I think, $2.80. The Amazon fees are really low. So you can sell lower priced products. You've just got to have a low enough sort of landed cost on the product, and you've got to make sure that the Amazon fees are not too high. So people say, only sell products that are $100 or something like that. It's not really true. Now, the next thing I want to look at is the review count. A lot of people will say, cap this at 300. It's honestly the biggest bullshit I've ever heard in my life, right? Because what ends up happening is you will find a niche where there's tons of new sellers, right? Because if everybody's got less than 300 reviews, that means it's a new niche, right? It doesn't mean that is always a bad thing. But what can happen a lot of the time is you find these niches that are emerging, right? And what will happen is you will try and launch a product, and it might take you 4 months to get that product from China or wherever and launch it on Amazon. And in that time, there's going to be another 100 sellers that are going to launch at the same time as you, right? So by the time you look at the niche and then you get your product live on Amazon, There's tons of new sellers, and usually what happens is the competition then just goes crazy and everybody drops their price. So if you're only looking at these niches that have got maximum, 300 reviews, that's a real danger of what can happen. And I've seen it happen so many times to beginners. And the reason that everybody does this is because they watch YouTube videos where the Amazon guru says, you want to find low competition niches. Now, review count is not an indication of competition. You want to find a niche where the listing quality is terrible. You want to find a niche where you can really stand out. That's where the competition is low. It's not about only the review count. Now, if you're looking at a niche, right, and the top, 15, 20 sellers, 10 sellers, whatever, if they've all got 20,000 reviews and you can't really see a way that you would stand out, then it's probably going to be difficult. So that's where you do need to look at the review count. But this idea of capping the reviews at 300 or 250 is absolute nonsense. It's something that Amazon gurus have said for years, and it's absolute nonsense. If you see anyone saying this, you know that they're not a real Amazon seller, because real Amazon sellers don't look at this. They don't cap things by, review count. So I'm not going to cap it on that. One that you can cap it on is the review rating, right? You can do that. So if you want to look at things that have got 4.2 or below, what that's going to show you is products that have got a lot of room for improvement, right? So if you find a niche where people are doing well and the reviews are a bit crap, then you can look at those reviews closely. Then you can understand how you might be able to stand out, how you might be able to change the product to make a better quality product, and that's going to allow you to stand out. But again, I'm not going to filter that today. Monthly revenue, this is where your budget, comes in. So if you've got a budget of, let's say, $10,000, you don't really want to be seeing niches where people are doing more, honestly, in my opinion, than $30,000, $40,000 at the very most, because you're not going to have enough money to compete. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 40,000 in there. And you can just, you can play around with that. It doesn't have to be exact, right? Shipping size, large standard, small standard, it does make it easier. It's not to say that you can't sell this other stuff. This used to be called oversized, but now they've recently changed it to large, bulky. The truth is, if you can find a product that's really small and got a high price, it is a good thing in reality, because if you've got a $100 product and it's this big, then the Amazon fees are going to be really low because it's only quite small. Your shipping fees are going to be really low. So there is opportunity there if you can find that. But it doesn't mean to say that you can't sell the bulkier items. You just need to be aware of how your Amazon fees impact that. So I'm only going to select those because I only want to look at those today. Fulfillment, you can do any of these, right? FBA, FBM, I don't really need to filter any of that. The other one that's good to filter is variation count, right? I want to do maximum 4. Now, if you look at a product and it's got, let's say, 5 different sizes, that's really difficult as a beginner. If you can imagine like clothing and apparel, it's difficult if you need to launch a product and you need to launch 6 or 7 different sizes. It just means you've got to buy way more stock. So a lot of beginners, they'll go into a niche where everybody else is selling 15 different variations and they can only afford to launch one. And you're just at a huge disadvantage. So you may as well just, play in niches where you're not at a huge disadvantage. So these are the main things that I'm going to be looking at. Review rating, I don't count. Review count, I don't care too much. So let's hit search. So this is just going to spit out a load of random stuff. There's going to be so much crap in here that's not worth looking at. So I might have to go back to the filters and, tweak them a little bit. But hopefully what we're going to see, actually, no, I did that wrong. Edit filters. What I didn't do is I didn't do the minimum. Revenue. So we want to be seeing stuff doing at least 10,000, because otherwise we're going to see stuff like this where it's doing $40 a month. That's because I'm doing this live, guys. It's like live TV. There's always mistakes. Right. So I'm just going to go through and I'm going to just, basically just look at stuff that catches my attention. Right. Some stuff I'm just going to gloss over and I'm not really going to pay too much attention. This is a niche that I saw blow up, this milestone blanket niche. It got very, very saturated very, very quickly. This was one of those where, a lot of people were doing pretty good revenue with low review counts. A lot of people saw that. They launched one of these and then the average price just tanked. It went down and down and down. So what I would do is the first thing that I do when I look at any product is I try and find the main keyword. Because what we're trying to do is we're trying to find the top 10 sellers, right? So the main keyword is usually the first keyword in the title because most sellers will put it early on in the title, right? So what we can do is we can come up here and we can click on all departments. Another great thing when you're using Helium 10, right, is when you click like this and you're searching, you'll see all of these keywords pop up. So this is so useful because it allows you to see a lot of related niches. So you'll start to see all this like baby carrier, heated blanket, throw blanket. Because this is quite a long specific keyword, all of these are going to be, sort of similar. But this really allows you to see, the search demand and the keyword volumes for this niche. So I'm just going to look at this quickly because I already know this is a pretty saturated niche, right? Because the price is kind of tanked. But my thought process is always the same, right? If these are the top, if these are the top sellers in this niche, which these are the ones that rank organically for this keyword, I'm not sure if this is the main, if this is the actual baby monthly milestone blanket, yeah, okay. So it does look like it's probably the main keyword because you can see the search volumes. The search volumes here are, pretty healthy. But you can see as well, this is a product that really went crazy a couple of years ago, and then it's really died off because if you click on this button here, click on this little icon, that's going to show you the search volume history. So this is basically how many people searched for it historically. So you can see the last 30 days, the last 90 days, and then you can see all time. So this gives you an indication, is this a niche that's growing? Because really you want to get into a niche that's like growing steadily. You don't really want to get into a niche that's like absolutely going crazy because it's probably like a bit of maybe a flash in the pan. But this is really useful for you to see, is it trending upwards? And this really isn't. It's kind of dying out. But the things that I'm thinking straight away is, how would I stand out visually? They all look very similar. It's similar to the pizza blanket example that I talked about. So they all look very similar. So I'd be thinking, how can I stand out visually? The first thing, again, that I would be thinking is, it looks like this one is doing quite well at $25. So I know, really looking at these prices of these top sellers, that if I really wanted to sell one of these, the absolute most I would be able to sell them for is probably like $25. So what I would then do is I would go to Alibaba and I would start to look at the prices, right? And I would start to say, baby milestone blanket, and I would start to understand, what sort of price I could get these for. Because, if I think I need to sell this for like $20, $25, I probably need to be landing it for, at the most, probably $6, right? So if you can land this on Amazon for $5 to $6 and it's good quality and you can sell it for, $24.99, then, you've got a chance that you're going to be able to get a pretty decent margin. Because you can see these guys, right? These guys are selling for $25 and they're making pretty good money. So based on what I can see here, you can see $5, like $2.55. Obviously, you'd have to order the samples and see. But I actually think this could be a product where your margin could actually be quite good if you managed to get to the top of this page. Because, these guys are selling it for $30. They're not making a ton of cash, $4,000. But, if all of these products were like $15, $14, I would be really thinking there's no way that I'm going to be able to make a decent enough profit margin. But I'm going to go back to Helium 10 in a second. But just to explain what I'm looking at, because it's the same no matter what I'm looking at, is I'm looking at how can I stand out visually and how can I improve the product functionally. So this is basically a product that, new mums, they lay the baby down and then they take photos because they highlight this little number and they'll say, okay, this is baby Jake at 8 months, then 9 months, and they take the pictures. It's great for social media. But you know what? It's been kind of done to death. Maybe you could do a different design. Maybe you could find a design of like other baby products and bring it in. I think if you were really creative, you could probably do quite well in this niche. You could probably come in with some really cool looking designs that could really stand out. But I think you're going to have to do something really different to really sort of make that work. So I'm going to go back to Black Box and let's have a look at some other products. Sometimes you get a lot of like very, very sort of commoditized products, or you get stuff like this, right? Which is some sort of like pump. Not really interested in that. It's very, very functional. It's difficult to customize products like that. So I'm looking for products that I feel, confident that I would be able to customize and you know, stand out with. Now, these types of products like pet supplements and stuff like that, like these are products that most Amazon gurus, they're going to tell you to steer well away from, right? And the reality is that most of you probably should steer well away from stuff like this. You know, especially in the US market, this kind of stuff is really competitive. But we sell a pet product, and we've just launched a couple of pet supplements, and they're doing really, really well. And they're in smaller niches. They're not dogs or cats. And also, what you can do is maybe you could look in Germany, maybe you can look in the UK market where it's a little bit lower competition. The other good thing about products like this is like you can source these in the US. So our pet supplements that we sell, we've sourced them in the US, which is so much easier than you know, sourcing things in China, and it works really, really well. So a lot of gurus will say don't go for stuff like this, but the major advantage of selling products like this is that they are bought every single month. They're subscription-based products. So if you come up to the top here, you can see this subscribe and save. Now, this is the holy grail of selling products on Amazon. If you really want to build a profitable, a super, super high value business, you want recurring revenue. Because imagine if you've got 1,000 customers, right, that buy this every single month, they don't even need to come to Amazon. They have it on subscribe and save, and it gets sent to them every single month. That is so valuable as a business. It means you don't need to constantly find new customers if you've already got a customer base. So don't be completely put off by products like this. You know, the most competitive products are human supplements, which is difficult, but there's always new niches emerging. There's always sort of new things. You know, you might have human supplements as the big category, but within that, there might be new things that start to emerge, you know, random stuff that comes up. So don't be completely put off if it's something like this that's consumed or it's bought on a monthly basis, because it's actually very valuable. You just need to understand the fundamentals. Again, you need to understand how you can stand out visually, and then how you can stand out, you know, with the product quality and the functionality. So this is another one, a natural tea storage organizer. So there's a lot of these bamboo products on Amazon. Again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to load this up, and then I'm going to find the main sort of keyword. Now, another way that you can do this is click this button here. Click on this keywords button, and it's going to load up the Cerebral tool. So this is why I said, right, getting Helium 10 or getting Jungle Scout. I don't know if Jungle Scout actually has this where you can see the keywords. I'm sure it must have, but I've never used it for that. But that's why these tools are, you know, so essential. And people are often like, I don't want to pay $50 a month for Helium 10, but you need to. So Cerebral, what it allows you to do is it allows you to see the keywords. So you can see all the keywords that this product ranks for. But we want to see the keywords that it ranks for organically between positions 1 and maybe about 30. Because this is going to show us the most relevant keywords, right? Because it's going to rank for some keywords that are just not relevant, and we don't want to get those mixed in. So what we do is we come down after we've filtered it, and we're just going to drag this out. Oh, not that big. And then we're gonna sort the column search volume, right? So teabag organizer. I don't know if that's the most relevant, right? Because that's probably going to show up a lot of other random products. If we just look at this, yeah, so you can see there, that's showing a lot of like clear sort of plastic type products, right? So that's not exactly it. So there might be some, you can see the organic rank. So basically, the lower the organic rank, the more relevant that this product that we're looking at is, right? So you can see T-Box Organizer, T-Box. So it seems that, you know, when people are searching T-Box, that this product ranks a little bit higher. T-Box Storage, T-Caddy, wooden T-Box is very specific. So I'm going to go for this one, T-Box Organizer, because I think, yeah, that's where you can see these bamboo ones that come up, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this one, and then I'm going to check out the top 7 or 8 sellers. And I'm going to kind of think, how can I stand out visually? And then how can I stand out functionally? And then if I have ideas for that, I'm going to go to Alibaba, I'm going to find the rough price, I'm going to do the Helium 10 profitability calculator like I showed you earlier on in the video. That's basically the process. That's basically product research in a nutshell. That's how you do it. So we got this top one. This one's made out of plastic, $130,000. So again, remember, we need to be looking at the demand in the niche, right? Because we need to know, do we have enough money to be able to compete? So I'm going to remove the adverts. I'm going to hide these, and I'm going to look at these top ones. So you can see this top one is doing 130,000. It is a bit of an outlier, you know, because a lot of these other people are doing way less, right? So when you do have one product like that, that's a huge outlier. You can't totally discount it, but you could probably launch one of these wooden ones and go after these more specific, like bamboo related keywords. And you probably wouldn't be competing with this person directly. So you're probably really competing against these guys here. So I would say, you know, to get into this niche, I would probably want, you know, $7,000, $8,000, $10,000. Because this guy at the top, you know, this is one of the guys that I would be want to competing against. You can see that this guy's doing about 766, or he's doing 766 sales a month. So, you know, we would roughly want to be around that mark. We want to be sort of be able to be up there. And then I'm also looking at like the price range, right? So obviously they're 28 bucks, they're the top seller. So we really would want to be maximum probably 30 bucks, 32 bucks. Because you can see there's a lot of other cheaper options. You know, there's this one for 20. There's this one for 25. You've got 19.99. You've got these sort of cheaper ones at 15. So these are all the people that you're competing against, right? Because when people search T-Box Organizer, they're going to look at most of these products and they're going to decide whether or not your product is the one that they want to buy. So you really need to look at this stuff. You really need to look at all of the pricing and the demand and everything else. So I'm going to just quickly scroll through again. And, you know, one of the beauties of a niche like this is really everything kind of looks the same, right? So you've got to think about when the customer is searching for this type of product, you know, what do they want? They want something that looks nice. They can put it in their kitchen and, you know, it does a really nice job. So this niche, I don't immediately think of any ways that I could really stand out. But I do think that there is probably a way that you could. You know, you could probably make something. I mean, this is a nice, simple product, right? It looks quite nice. You can see this chap here in his kitchen putting his tea bags in. You know, what I'd be thinking is there a way that I could stand out visually? You know, could I use a different type of wood? You know, could I do some nice patterns on here? Is there any way that I could do it? And then obviously I would go to Alibaba and I would see, because you probably want to be landing these. If you need to sell this for about 30 bucks, you probably want to be landing it for maximum, you know, probably $6 to $7. Usually, whatever your landed cost is, you want to be able to sell it for at least 4 times that landed cost. So if you land it for 7, you really want to be selling it for at least 28 bucks. So you'd be able to go to Alibaba and immediately see whether that kind of is in the right ballpark even. But yeah, I mean, you can see they kind of all look the same. These guys have done a little bit of a different color. You know, these guys have done patterns. I would look at these and see, you know, are these doing good sales, or are they, you know, are people interested in patterns and stuff? But this is where you really need to start getting creative, and you really need to think about what the customer cares about. And if you can customize this product in any way, that's going to stand out against the competition. So I'm going to go back to Black Box. I don't want to spend too long on individual products, because I want you guys to have fun. I want you to have fun and see like a range of different products. So I'm going to keep looking through here, and I'm just going to click on anything that I think stands out. Golf balls, not too interested in, because that's going to be dominated by huge brands. Leg brace for dogs. This is a bit of an interesting one. So this is a good example of where there's going to be different sizes. So if you wanted to launch this product, you would have to launch 3 different sizes. So what you would have to do is you'd have to really understand which sizes are the most popular, and then you would have to kind of make sure that you accommodate for that, right? You don't only want to launch large, because then if people need a medium or a small, then they're not going to buy from you. The other thing here is, like, you can see 4 out of 5, right? So there's a lot of room here to improve this product. It's only doing $10,000 a day, but I'm going to look and I'm going to see in the reviews here, you know, what are people complaining about? Now, products like this can be a little bit sort of finicky. What's the word? Finicky. Because, you know, it might be very subjective. So used and dirty, that's obviously just sort of a quality control issue. My dog hated these. It's not a brace. It's just a flimsy fabric wrap. Used product. I mean, a lot of people are complaining. So quality, ridiculous, way too small, cheap piece of garbage, did not fit, hit my puppy in the wrong place, not enough support, does not provide support, bit too big for the dog. It looks like they're low quality. They're just not very good, right? But it's still doing $10,000 a month. So what I would go back to is I want to see again, you know, what it ranks for organically. So front leg brace for dogs and cats. So I'm going to search for this because I want to see the overall niche. So I'm just going to remove front and I'm going to do leg brace for dogs. Leg brace for dogs, back leg, dog. So it looks like there's a lot of, different keywords. I'm going to just search this one. So then you can start to see all of these products, right? And you've got to think again, how can I stand out visually? And then, how can I stand out functionally? So if a lot of these products like this, they get poor reviews, which they do, that means there's an opportunity. Maybe you can make something which is way higher quality. The demand for these doesn't look like it's absolutely huge, but there's some demand. These are doing 10K, 4K, 3K. This might be a niche that's good, for a kind of smaller budget. $9,000 there, 8,000, 14,000. So you can see that you got ones for the rear and you've also got ones for the front leg. So this is quite an interesting niche, right? It's an interesting niche because there's a bunch of different sort of variations. There's front leg, there's back leg, there's different types of dogs and stuff. There's like this. So if you were to launch a brand like this, there's a lot of different products that you could launch. But again, one of the warning signs is stuff like this, right? There's a lot of different sizes. It's going to be really, really expensive to launch. I'm going to imagine that that's not the case because I want to keep looking at these reviews and see what people complain about. Because, this is really what matters. With a product like this that's very, very functional, you really need to make sure you actually improve the quality of it, right? Or else. The problem with pet products like this, though, is, pets come in so many different shapes and sizes that it might just be difficult to get a product that people are happy with. But this is kind of what I would do with this niche anyway, as I would look through all of these and I would think, how can I improve it? And the other good thing about a product like this, apart from the other downsides, is this type of product is really easy to customize. So if we want to improve this product, it's made from fabric, it's a textile product. So it's not, it's not impossible to customize it. If plastic products are expensive, right? I've got this light on my desk. Look at this. If I want to customize this, it's expensive because it's made from plastic. So I've got to get a plastic injection mold made. We've done that a few times and it is expensive. A product like this is so cheap to customize. So that's one of the good things about textile products. All right, so I'm going to look at one more product and I'm going to analyze the niche. And then I'm going to show you this tool that I think is incredible, which I think you're going to really, really enjoy. Tennis paddle, not interested in that. So have a look at this one. So this one is like toys and games. This is a parachute, 12-foot parachute. Do you remember these as a kid? You used to sort of stand underneath them. It's not actually for jumping out of planes. I used to love this. This was the bloody highlight of my primary school. So I'm gonna have a look at this, right? The first thing that I'm thinking of is, I know it's for kids. So a kid's gonna find something that's a bit visually different. Would they find that interesting? So what I'm gonna look at is I'm gonna try and find the main keyword. So kids play parachute. And then I'm going to see what the score is. Now, I think all of these are going to look exactly the same, which they do, which is music to my ears. Because, right, if everything looks the same and you can come in with something that looks different, look at all of these, right? If you imagine you had a different design for the top of this parachute, it would immediately stand out. So when everything looks the same, that's actually a really good thing for you. Now, you have to think about, again, what do people want? I don't really know why they always come in this same color. It just seems like it's the standard thing. But could you be a bit different? Could you use different colors? Here's an idea. Could you make one that looks like a huge pepperoni pizza? Do you know what I mean? You can. This is where you need to get creative, because you might look at this and think there's no ideas, but when you actually, look at a niche like this, why could you not create one of these that's a huge pepperoni pizza? And instead of it just because, what's generally the point of these colors? Maybe it's to actually play a game. Maybe there's a specific game that you need to play. But I don't really think it is. I think what you do is you throw balls on it and stuff, and you sort of throw stuff up in the air. I think it's more just a game where kids have got to, work together and stuff. I don't really think it matters too much what colors they are. But you could go a bit crazy with the designs. You could make it look like a pizza. You could make it look like a UFO. You could really do a lot of different things. So this one looks like its best-selling product here. and it's $21.99. So this kind of gives you an idea of the price that you'd probably need to, sell these for. You'd probably need to really be selling these for maybe maximum, $30, $25. That gives you kind of that price anchor that you need to be able to, do your economics research. Let's have a look. So it looks like, the top seller here, $24.99. I mean, for this particular keyword. So obviously people are searching for different sizes. Kids play parachute. That doesn't look like it's the main keyword. Parachute. So it's a bit weird. I can't really see what the main keyword is, but yeah, you can see, there's people 24,000 they're doing. I think this is quite a good opportunity, honestly. Like, I think these would probably pack up pretty small. What you could do is fold these up, then you could get them vacuum packed. So they go really small. They're not going to be expensive to ship. You can see as well, some of these, the size is standard. Some of them, they're oversized, which is a big deal when you're looking at your fees. But it looks like a lot of them are the standard size, so the Amazon fees shouldn't be crazy high. I would honestly look at this, and I would think that I could be creative enough to bring something in here that's a bit different. I would actually have to have a look, right, and see whether the colors are needed for the actual games. But I really don't think... I'm just looking here to see whether it mentions the colors. I really don't think it does, though. I think they just play games... And I think kids would love it if it looked like a giant pizza. You know what I mean? Obviously, we've been looking at that niche before. But I'm just thinking about kids and what they enjoy, like UFOs. You could make it look like a giant world. Flat earthers would love that. But I think you could get creative here. So I would then, I would go over to Alibaba. I would look for this on Alibaba. I would figure out the price that I need to sell it for. Probably going to be between around this, 20 to $50, depending on the size. This is a bit of a bummer that there is all these sizes available, because it means that you're going to have to kind of, cater to those different sizes. But this is just an example, again, of how I approach product research, right? You've got to look, how can I stand out creatively? Does it, do the economics look like they might make sense? Am I competing against people that have got amazing listings? Not really from what I've seen. They're not that great. Another interesting one that you can see, this is in India. So this is the type of product that you can source in India, not in China, because India is a great place to source textile products. But these, this is probably not going to be that expensive to produce. You can see all these sellers, there's people as cheap as $12.99. People don't always go for the absolute cheapest for stuff like this, because you can imagine if it's $12.99, it's probably going to be really cheap quality. So again, you dive into the reviews, maybe people complain about stuff that you can improve upon. This is basically product research, right? So at the beginning of the video, right, I promised that I would show you a tool for doing product research that I don't really think people mention very much on YouTube. And it's a tool called Exploding Topics. I will put an affiliate code, a discount code in the video description where you can sign up for $1 and you'll get 2 weeks. But basically, this is a great way to find products and niches that are trending, right? A caveat to this, right, is that you don't always want to find trending niches. You don't want to find stuff that's like popping off like this, because if you start selling stuff like this when it's at the absolute peak and then it just nosedives, then that's obviously not a good thing. If you can find stuff that's like starting to trend, and it's starting to become a new niche, and you can bring something in that's, really, really good quality, and you can be in there early, then that can be a great thing. Like, Paddle is something that's absolutely taken off. If you were early on with Paddle, if you were one of the early Paddle brands to bring, Paddle stuff in, then you could have made a lot of money. The same with, the cold plunge stuff. That's obviously like a very, very sort of trendy product right now. I wouldn't recommend anybody launches one of these now, but if you got in this 3 years ago, if you started to see the data, so what you can see with this is you can see here how it starts to trend, right? If you started to see around here, which is only about 2 years ago, if you started to see that, hang on a minute, this is jumping up and this is jumping up, then you might have been able to launch a cold plunge brand around this point and then ride this wave of demand. If you get in there early, then you're absolutely laughing. Now, if you try and get in at the top here, it's like investing in Bitcoin, right? Like if you buy Bitcoin right at the very top, you're probably not going to make much money. But if you get in right here at the top, yeah, you're probably screwed. But if you get in down here, then you've got a chance of doing well. So I love looking at this. Another one is these sort of gummies. A lot of these supplement products now, people are turning them into gummies. That's a real trending thing. There might be certain supplements that have not been turned into gummies yet. which you can be one of the early people to sort of sell. Just an example. But again, right, I wouldn't want to be launching mushroom gummies now because it's way too late. But you can use this tool to find stuff where it's starting to trend like this, right? So it's not exploded yet, but it's starting to sort of trend. Now, using these sorts of website is great, you know, for finding data like this. So you can do the time frame. You can just set it to 1 year. You know, you can change stuff. And maybe you find stuff like this, right? Like rice toner. I don't know what that is. I assume it's some sort of brand, whatever. But if you can go back 5 years, what you don't want to see again, like this looks like it's going to continue to trend upwards, right? You're not super early to something like this. Like it's not, you know, just here, but it's not too crazy, right? Like this might continue for the next 5 to 10 years to just become a super popular product. And using something like this is just a great way. So tallow cream, let's have a look at that. Again, you know, these are products that a lot of people might say, you know, don't launch. I don't see why not. Like this might just continue to be a niche that's, you know, popular for a long time. I mean, it is kind of peaking again. But yeah, Pilates socks. So look, there's loads of ideas in here. And what you can do is you can look at all of these ideas on a website like this. You can see the way that they're trending. Red light is one that's been trending, you know, over the past few years for sure. Let's have a look at 5 years. Okay, so again, it's booming again. You know, you have to spend a bit of time to try and find stuff that's perhaps not, you know, not absolutely booming, but you're just finding it early on. So slat wall panel, no idea what that is. That's a bit weird. That's going crazy again. But yeah, I mean, you want to find yourself in a niche that is growing. You don't want to, you know, you don't want to launch, you know, flash in the pan stuff like fidget spinners and all that sort of stuff. But I love this tool. I love looking at it. I've seen so many examples of things I would love to launch as a brand. We've got our own brand that we're focusing on. But yeah, that's a wrap for the video, guys. So I hope you enjoyed it. Please give me a like and a comment and all that jazz if you did. And then go and watch this video that I did recently where I talk about how we're taking our Amazon brand to 8 figures, because there's going to be a ton of stuff that you can learn from it. So go and watch it now. I'll see you in the next one.